Hello and welcome to part 2 of the pendulum rules, regulations, and different techniques. This is esoterichaven.wall.fm, a publication. So, anyways, I'm going to take out my trusty carnelian pendulum and start talking about it. See, now you can get a better viewpoint as to how you're supposed to hold it. See, it goes looped over from here, over your pointer, and down, being held by your thumb. See? See? And then it just sort of swings there. That's exactly how you're supposed to hold it. Now, rules and regulations. It works just like tarot cards. Basically, you want to keep it on the eye. If you follow a more gray path, you can, ask more questions like, does he like me, or something like that. I wouldn't use it to spy on people at all, because that's really black magic, in my opinion. And this is mostly my opinion / rules that are pretty universal. You don't use divination to spy on people. It's supposed to be a tool which helps you to figure out the future for yourself. You can do readings for others with their permission. Like, for instance, if you wanted to do a reading for your mother, your brother, your sister, your friend, you would ask them, do I have permission to do this reading? They say yes, then you do the reading. And you tell them what question you're going to ask. You don't just ask any old question you want to about their life, because that, again, is spying. And would be bad, even though you have permission to do readings on their life. Unless you are given full permission to do whatever readings you want on their life. Like, let's say it's a boyfriend and you're both into, this sort of a thing, and you're like, whatever, you can do whatever you want, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Then it's okay. Then it's not spying, because you have it's like giving away a consent form or something like that. But you need that consent form in order to do it. Now, should I be saying this? No. Will I say it? Yes. Can you do it? Yeah. You can spy on somebody. You can ask the question, is he thinking about me? Does he like me? What is he doing today? I mean, you can't ask what is he doing today with a pendulum, but you can ask yes or no questions like, is he going to the mall today? Or something like that. That's spying on somebody's life. You really shouldn't be asking, about their whereabouts, or, how they feel towards you, or whatever. You can ask, like, is the love work I did on him working? You can ask that. That's acceptable, and stuff like that. So, having said all of that, reference my rules and regulations for tarot cards. Keeping on the eye, asking yes or no questions of the pendulum is acceptable. Now, different techniques for using the pendulum. Some people will take the pendulum and it'll swing in a circular motion, and then you program it to however you want. I always say spin, and then it spins for me, and then I say answer me. You can say tell me. You can say whatever you want, whatever code word you want. You can say poopies if you want, and it'll stop. And then now for me, I programmed it to swing to one side or the other. From the middle to the one side is the answer for me. So it'll swing from the middle to the one side for the answer, Other people have programmed their pendulums, and this is a more generic way to program your pendulum, to when you say answer me or whatever your code word is, however you want to program your pendulum. And programming it, I just mean by repetitious ways of, getting it to do what you want by focusing your third eye onto it to get it to move. You don't just go like this and start it moving, because somebody's fake when it's like real big, or they're really being led by spirit, and a spirit has taken over their pendulum, and that's why it's really big. I find when spirit leads my pendulum, it swings really not violently, but widely. When I personally am doing it by myself with my own personal power, it swings very smallly, just a small little circle like you saw in the other video, very small. And that's personally how I judge whether a person's real or not, because if they give it a little, it's not real. You have to keep your hand completely still when doing it. That way your personal power moves the pendulum, and the pendulum will move. It takes a while. Your first couple of tries, it's like smoking day, well, The first time, you don't get high. The second time, third time, you get super high. So it's kind of like that with a pendulum. The first couple of times you try to move a pendulum, it's just going to sit there, and you're going to be like, ooh. And then after that, it's going to start moving, and not because you're doing it, but because it's actually moving, and you're going to be like, yay! So, anyways, so what some people do is, and you can use a Queen Elizabeth root if you're female, and John the Conqueror root if you're male, as a pendulum. Or, yeah, you can use the Queen Elizabeth's root as a pendulum. It makes a really great pendulum. I think you can use John the Conqueror's root, although don't quote me on it. I know you can definitely use Queen Elizabeth's root as a pendulum, and it makes a great pendulum. So that's one herb you can use if you don't have the money to go out and buy a pendulum. You can just go out and buy the herb and, the root, a big chunk of it, or, a small chunk of it. It's not the size that matters, it's the way you use it. It's also a common misconception with stones, just as a quick side note, a little notation. When you're picking out stones for yourself, like amethyst, quartz, whatever, it's not the size that matters, how big or small it is. It could be the tiniest piece of quartz ever and be the most powerful thing. What you gotta do is you gotta feel it, in your power hand, which is generally your right hand. If you're left-handed, then it's your left hand. If you're ambidextrous, then it doesn't really matter whichever hand you use more often, whichever hand you feel energy coming into you, and that's the one you choose. So even though you may be right-handed, it may be your left hand, you have to put the stones in your hand and feel it. But anyways, you put the stone in the center of your hand like this, and you feel for a pulse, and you'll feel it. And it's not your pulse, because the pulse will be erratic for some stones and not for others. So anyways, I'm getting way off topic. So anyways, so what some people will do is they will train their pendulum to go clockwise for yes and counterclockwise for no. And a lot of people do it that way. I personally go from the center to the right for yes, center to the left for no. That's the way I personally do it. You don't have to do it that way. Another really cool way of divining with a pendulum is using different coins. Now, when you go to a witchcraft store, at least, you can get kits that, will have like a bunch of numbers, and it will have like the alphabet and stuff like that. And, so I decided that, not only, because I was taught by witches anyways, that the pendulum is used for yes and no, and that is it. That's it. Just yes or no questions. But then I come to find out that you can use it for numbers and letters, and then in hoodoo you can use it to, which is interesting, you can take the pendulum, ask spirit, whatever god, goddess, spirit, the Lao, the Loa, however you want to say it, to guide your pendulum, and it will swing pretty widely towards whatever herb, like let's say you're making a honey jar, for instance, in hoodoo. And a honey jar is basically a jar full of honey and a petition paper with a bunch of herbs inside of it, or some lodestones that you want to sweeten somebody to you or whatever. And you burn candles on top of it and stuff like that. And so you want to decide, well, I have 13 herbs, but I really only want to use 5, or I really only want to use 7, or whatever. I don't want to use all 13, or I have 16, and I just can't decide what I don't want to use or I want to use. So what you would do is you would take your pendulum, you would ask spirit, or whatever god, goddess, spirit you're working with to guide your pendulum, and you would say, please point out the first herb I should use in my honey jar. and then it will go ding, 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 ding. Now, I obviously moved it, but you won't be moving it. You know, I'm just doing it for show. And it'll point out, and it will actually point out, because I have done it, and I learned this from a chick off the YouTube. I forgot her name, though. We'll have to give her credit later. Anyways, it will point out the herbs that you want to use. And that's really cool. Another thing you can do is, and then it will keep picking herbs and stuff until, you tell it not to, or you're done, or whatever, it feels that it's done. Another thing you can do is my personal way of divining, is you can take coins from different countries. And I, have one with a female face on it. One, I use an American coin, George Washington, and then I had one for earth, air, fire, and water that represented the elements, and I had coins that represented different things. And what you do is you, like the yes or no, like I said, you point to it and you tell the pendulum, this means yes, this means no, this means female, this means male, da 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 da. And you just keep doing it and doing it over and over and over again. And the more you repeat it, the more you do it, the more it conditions the pendulum to accept the fact that this coin means X, Y, and Z. And you can get really awesome readings. If you go to your local coin dealer and just start going through and coins start speaking to you, you will find coins that look really, really cool. I don't have any examples with me right now, unfortunately. I think I might have a little bit, but I think my yes-no coins are not really... Anyways, I had like a cornucopia and for plenty and, female, male and stuff like that. And it was just really cool way of divining. And then I was told that it was wrong, and I was like, whatever. It wasn't. So you can do that too. And just the consistency of telling it again. And you have, every time you do a reading, you have to point to the coin and say, this means this means that means this means that. So if you keep it consistent and stuff like that, the pendulum will work towards it. And my tourmalated quartz one that I showed in the other video is conditioned to handle that sort of a situation. I just got to refine the coins and redo it. And, and then I can find out what, earth, air, fire, water sign, a male or female is, did they cross me? Yes, no. Was it male, female, and it's really fascinating. And you can use the pendulum to do that, and it's really cool. So I thought I would just share those little tips with you. Happy hunting with finding coinage. And please check out the site esoterichaven.wall.fm. Alright? Later.